time, weather, and...
Hello and welcome to Driving with Todd. And I'm Todd. Let's start out the week with a request. This request comes in from my reaction to Red Gum doing the song I Was Only 19. The YouTuber making the request goes by the name of Michael Dobran. And Michael writes this: I've watched a few of your reactions to Australian music in regards to war songs. I would like to recommend a not so well known track by the band Hunters and Collectors called What's a Few Men. Also the song Green Fields of France by Eric Bogle. Keep up the good work, from Mick D. So I thought, yeah, Hunters and Collectors. I haven't gotten a request for them, and I kind of would like to do a song by them. So this is like perfect. Now, I don't know a lot about that band, but I do know that Hunters and Collectors are from Australia. Now, they were formed in 1981 by a singer-songwriter and guitarist by the name of Mark Seymour. The particular song, What's a Few Men, was released on their 1987 album, What's a Few Men. The song is about Gallipoli in World War I, and it relates, I'm just going to read this, it relates a tale of a British officer complaining about the smell of rotting dead bodies on the battlefield at Gallipoli during World War I. When told that cleaning up the corpses would result in even more Australians getting shot down by the Ottoman Turks, the English colonel responds, What's a Few Men? So that's what we're going to hear about, is this particular time and place. Now, what's interesting about this album is that when it was going to be released in the United States, Hunters and Collectors were on the IRS label here in the States. They didn't like the title of the album. They didn't like the track listing. Typical USA. Let's take an import album, an album from another country's band and just hack the heck out of it. I don't know why we do that in this country, but we always do. So they renamed it from What's a Few Men to Fate. They reordered the tracks, took several tracks off, and added 4 new tracks that Hunters and Collectors were working at the time, and released it a year later in 1988. I just shake my head. That's why back in the late 70s, actually in the 70s and in the 80s, I bought a lot of import records so I could actually hear what they sounded like. So here we go with Hunters and Collectors doing the song What's a Few Men.
The colonel said these bodies stink. Won't someone come and drag them away? We try to clean them up, but they mow us down. And the English colonel looks the other way. Well, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Well, I ran for the trench, but I had no time to speak. Well, my heart said yeah, but my head said no. When the English colonel said it's time to go, he said, what's a...
Okay, just stop it right here a second. Yeah, it's kind of graphic. The lyrics are very, very graphic. You can picture what's going on, especially if you know anything about World War I or the battle that the Australians had at Gallipoli. It's very, very telling of the amount of anguish and death that occurred at the time. But I like the music too. The music is very somber as well. You've got the guitars, you've got that drum just kind of, just keeping a nice even beat, a little bit of bass guitar in there. But what really is telling in this song is definitely the lyrics, and the vocals really stand out on this particular song. I think they stand out much more than the instrumentation in the background. So let's keep on going.
When the English colonel said it's time to
I like how that refrain just jumps up. You know, it's very somber. The verse, the first verse is very somber. The music is very somber, and then the refrain comes in, and the colonel's going, "What's a few men? What's a few men? What's a few men?" And the music just jumps up, and they add quite a number of different instruments in there as well. I really like how they take that somber and just explode it in the refrain. Really cool. Let's keep on going.
Said what's a few men? The colonel's job is never done, so he declares time out on Christmas Day. We held the enemy in our arms, and we plowed each other's dead into the clay. Oh, the Lord said death will be no longer, and all of these things will pass away. There'll be no sorrow, there'll be no pain, and we'll swap cigarettes on Christmas Day. All the loved ones down upon their knees, when the English colonel said it's time to leave. Well, my heart said yeah, but my head said no. When the English colonel said it's time to go, and he said, "What's a few men?" 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 He said, "What's a few men?"
Okay, I just want to stop on that refrain again. What I really like, okay, I'm listening to that refrain again. It's very similar to the first refrain. Is that heavy drumming, that heavy drumming beat that they have in there, and then he does like a double drum line in there. I really like that with that keyboard in there. The keyboard is adding, I think, the so much to the song. It's adding so much height to that refrain. It's elevating that refrain, and I think that's really cool between the drumming and that keyboard that's in there. That is really cool. And then they just keep on repeating the same line. You know, what's a few men? What's a few men? And it's like, okay, doesn't anybody really care about life? I mean, World War I was really a terrible war, but it's like you can just throw life away. How can a person do that? And it just troubles me when I hear things like that because life is so precious. Let's get to the end of this song, okay? That was a good song. I mean, that was interesting. Like I said, I've heard a lot about Hunters and Collectors. Really never listened to them. I did have their first album. I do have to say I had their first album that was released in the U.S. I don't know how close it was actually to their first album because I bought the IRS version. That was the U.S. version. I remember listening to it a couple of times, but it wasn't something that I played a lot. And then I didn't buy anything else after that particular album. So when I've been doing these different Australian groups that I've gotten requests for, I was always waiting for somebody to request Hunters and Collectors, because it was a group I kind of wanted to hear again. And this is one of their later albums in the 80s. And this is really a cool song. What I like about it is there's a lot of transitions in this song as well. You've got that starts out with the electric guitars, the bass, the steady drumming, the verse, and then it gets into the refrain, and now it changes up. You get the heavy keyboards, you get that heavy drumming in there, and then the repeated line over and over again. What's a few men? What's a few men? Then it goes into like a country guitar. And I really like that part. Right after the refrain, you get into this like country western guitar, and then you go back into the somber portion of another verse, and that verse is fairly long as well. And then you go back again, another transition into the refrain, and then you come out of the refrain with a transition into that more countrified guitar. It's cool how they laid this song out. And the vocals, and I didn't mention the vocals, but I really like the vocalist. He's got a good voice. You could, and like I had mentioned when I stopped it the first time, the vocals are up front too, so you can understand every word that's being said. So you can picture in your mind what's going on here at Gallipoli with these dead bodies, and wanting these soldiers to get rid of these dead bodies because they're rotting and they're smelling. And as they're picking these bodies up, those people themselves are being shot and killed. So it's a no-win situation here in this song. There's just no way that you're going to win. I want to take it back though a little bit and get to that country guitar at the end here, because I thought that was really nice. I just really liked the way they finished the song off with that more countrified guitar. Right about here. A little bit back further. Right here.
You said what's up, you man?
Right here. Yeah, I love that countrified guitar. They do that twice in the song, and then at the end here, then they bring in a keyboard which almost sounds a little bit like strings. It almost sounds like they're synthesizing strings, and then the keyboard just takes the song out. Well put together, really, really a nice song. I'd definitely like to hear more by Hunters and Collectors. I like what I heard here. The song is fairly sad, definitely an anti-war song. It reminds me of a movie. Now I wish I could remember the movie, but it's about World War I, and it's on the Western Front, and it's like an hour before armistice is signed. Everybody knows that it's going to be, I think it was 11 a.m. And everybody, and I think that was the name of the movie too, was the armistice date. And there was a general, and he wanted to have one more over the top because he felt the lads deserved it. And then they went into the trenches, and nobody wanted to do that because they knew that they had made it this far. So it's kind of like this particular song where the colonel doesn't care. He doesn't have to go out there and pick up the dead. He just orders the privates to do it, and if they get shot, so be it. So yeah, definitely anti-war, and well done song. I really did like this a lot. I thought it was just a really cool song by a group I really wanted to hear something by. And like I said, if anybody else has recommendations for Hunters and Collectors, let's hear it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed my take on this song, What's a Few Men by Hunters and Collectors. If you did, hit that like button. That'd be really appreciated. If you have any comments about Hunters and Collectors doing the song, What's a Few Men, put it in the comments below. That'd be really appreciated. Now I'm going to take a link to this video, which really wasn't much. This was I believe the cover of the United States album, or the United States version of the album, What's a Few Men, called Fate. But what was really important here was the song itself, and that song had a very strong message. So I'm going to take a link to this video, put in my description below. So if you want to watch it again, just click on that link, it'll open up, and it will play for you. I'm also going to put a link to the channel that uploaded this video, which was Hunters and Collectors. And you might want to check out the Hunters and Collectors channel. There might be some other really cool videos you want to see. Now, have you subscribed to Driving with Todd? If you haven't, why don't you do it right now? Just go below this video, below the title of the video, and hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. If you go over here and ring the bell, you'll get updates to my latest videos. So I'm glad that somebody out there in YouTube land recommended Hunters and Collectors. I really enjoyed listening to this song. It was really kind of a sad song, you could say, but I really did enjoy it. It did put a smile on my face, though very sad. I hope it put a smile on your face, but very sad. And peace out, baby.